Have you ever dreamed about becoming a Spanish citizen, a Spain passport holder? Whether it's for the culture, the lifestyle, or the doors that it opens across Europe, Spanish citizenship by naturalization might be the pathway for you. In today's video, we'll break down the entire process, who qualifies, how to apply, the steps involved, and what it means to hold Spanish citizenship. So let's get started. So what is Spanish citizenship by naturalization? Naturalization is a pathway for foreign nationals who have lived in Spain for a certain period and meet specific legal requirements to become Spanish citizens. Unlike other forms of citizenship, this is a discretionary process granted by the Spanish government. It's open to people who have shown integration into Spanish society and a commitment to the country. So, who can apply? To qualify for naturalization in Spain, you need to meet the following criteria. One is continuous legal residency. The standard is 10 years of continuous legal residency for, Canadians, Americans, and so forth. But there are exceptions where it's actually less than 10 years. So it's 5 years for refugees, 2 years for nationals of Ibero-American countries, Andorra, the Philippines, Equatorial Guinea, or Sephardic Jews, or 1 year for those who are married to a Spanish citizen, people born in Spain, children or grandchildren of Spanish citizens, or widows or widowers of Spanish citizen. Now, I know a lot of people coming to this video are from different situations. If you're Canadian American, again, maybe 10 years. If you were born in a Latin American country, even if you have one by birth, let's say your parents were Mexican and you got that Mexican passport by birth, that should be enough to get the 2-year fast track to Spanish citizenship, right? Or if you marry a Spanish citizen, it'll be a 1-year path to citizenship. So a couple different common scenarios there. But certainly the 2-year path to citizenship for people from Latin America is a very unique path to citizenship via naturalization. Moving on, a couple more requirements. One, you got to have good conduct, meaning you need to have a clean criminal record, both in Spain and your home country. That document will need to be apostilled as well, meaning legalized, authenticated. We have a video on our channel explaining what apostilles are, by the way. You can check that out. Requirement number 3 is going to be cultural and social integration. So applicants must demonstrate integration into Spanish society, including language proficiency and knowledge of Spanish culture and values. There's a couple exams that you actually have to do. There's a Spanish language exam. People from Latin America don't have to take it, though. They're exempt. And then there's also a cultural exam, kind of like a civic test that you'll have to do as well. And then beyond the 2 exams, you probably want to show other ways that you're integrated into Spanish society. So maybe that's through a job, maybe you own a business, maybe you're volunteering, things like that to really help your application. And then number 4 is legal status. So you have to hold legal residency and maintain it throughout the process. So if you're in an irregular situation, that might not work for you here. Moving on from requirements to the required documents, before applying, gather these essential documents. So number 1, identification, a valid passport and resident card. And by the way, the passport has to be valid. If you have an expired passport, that's really going to hold up your application. So make sure you have a valid passport that is not expired. Number 2 is proof of residency. So a certificate of continuous residency from your local municipality. This is called a certificado de empadronamiento. So you'll need that as well. Number 3 is going to be criminal record checks. So from Spain as well as your home country, getting those certificates. Number 4 is going to be language proficiency. So you'll need proof of passing the DELE or DELE A2 exam. A2 is really basic Spanish, by the way. That shouldn't be too hard to pass. And then 5 is cultural integration, which is passing the CCSE exam, also known as Conocimientos Constitucionales y Socioculturales de España, the CCSE, which tests your knowledge of Spanish society, culture, and governance. And then number 6, some additional documents is you'll want to have your birth certificate, apostilled and translated. You'll want to have your marriage or divorce certificates, if applicable. And you'll want to have evidence of employment or income, such as work contracts, tax returns, and bank statements showing some money in the bank to prove means. Okay, moving on to how to apply. So here's a step-by-step guide to the application process. And by the way, you could apply by yourself, but it's probably the type of thing where you want to eliminate the guesswork and work with the lawyer. Lawyers can also find strategies for speeding up the acceptance for your application. The Spanish citizenship process is known to have delays and a bit of a backlog where once you submit, once you apply, it could take over a year to get accepted and to kind of get through the process. But if you work with the right lawyers, they might have some strategies for speeding up the process. So if you want to work with a lawyer to make this happen, book a call. There's going to be a link in the description to book a call with MyLatinLife. We have a team of Spanish lawyers. We can do citizenship by naturalization. We can also do any type of visa in Spain, whether it's the golden visa, the non-lucrative visa, etc. So there's a link in the description. Work with us, and we can help not only with the Spain thing, but also with your holistic picture in terms of your taxes and your entire citizenship and residency portfolio. Okay, moving on to the step-by-step guide to how to apply the application process. So number 1, prepare the docs. We talked about the list of docs already. Number 2, register online. So you'll create an account on the Ministry of Justice's website and fill out the naturalization application form. Number 3, submit your application. Applications can be submitted online or through a lawyer, and you'll want to include all the supporting documents at this time. Number 4, you got to pay the fees. So there's an application processing fee, which varies depending on your nationality and circumstances, but it's really not that much money. Number 5 is attend an interview. You may be called for an interview to assess your integration into Spanish society. Number 6, wait for the decision. The process can take up to 1 to 2 years or more. Patience is key as approvals depend on government discretion. Number 7 is the swearing in ceremony. Once approved, you'll swear allegiance to the Spanish Constitution and renounce your prior citizenship unless you're from a country that allows dual citizenship with Spain. And then number 8, you'll want to apply for your Spanish passport. So after the oath, you can register as a Spanish citizen and apply for your Spanish ID and passport, which is very exciting stuff. Now, you may have noticed there that I talked about renunciation of your prior citizenship. This is a complicated topic that requires its own video. So I will make a dedicated video on this in the future. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel for that. But just know that the renunciation is usually considered basically ceremonial in nature, and that you don't actually have to renounce, long story short. Okay, moving on, let's talk about some of the benefits of Spanish citizenship. What makes Spanish citizenship worth it? Let's break it down. So number 1, freedom of movement. As a Spanish citizen, you can live, work, and travel freely in all 27 EU countries. Number 2 is the global mobility. So the Spanish passport provides visa-free or visa-on-arrival access to 190 countries. For people from Latin America, this could be especially useful if they want access to the United States and they want to be able to travel to the US freely. The Spanish passport will allow you to do that. Number 3 is access to healthcare and education. Spanish citizens enjoy world-class public healthcare and education systems. I guess that might be a little bit debatable these days, but no, seriously, it definitely benefits, and especially when you factor in the freedom of movement and how you can go anywhere in Europe to get free public healthcare and also low cost and nearly free education, which is huge. Number 4 is voting rights. You'll be able to vote in Spanish in European elections. Number 5 is inheritance of citizenship. This is huge. Your children will automatically acquire Spanish nationality, which is absolutely huge. And then even for grandchildren, there will be some benefits and path to citizenship for them as well. And then benefit number 6 is connection to Spanish society. So, foster that deeper sense of belonging and connection to Spain, which is especially huge if you're from a Latin American country and your ancestors came from Spain and so forth. So it's kind of coming to home moment type of thing, right? There are some challenges to keep in mind to getting Spanish citizenship. So number 1, renunciation is an issue, which we talked about, renouncing your current citizenship and the gray area around that. So Spain generally requires applicants to renounce their previous nationality, except for nationals of countries that have agreements with Spain. And by the way, most Latin American countries do have agreements with Spain. They have treaties, so they don't have to renounce. But again, if you're from the US or from Canada, the renunciation, it's complicated, but you probably don't actually have to renounce in a way that has legal effect in your home country. Another challenge is the lengthy processing time. The application process can honestly take years, so be prepared for delays. I've heard that now in late 2024, early 2025, it's actually a bit better time to apply than it was a couple years ago. Supposedly, they've got through a lot of the backlog, but still, there's a lot of people trying to get Spanish citizenship, and a lot of people qualify because of the 2-year path to citizenship, especially. So expect some delays. It's not going to be overnight in terms of, it's not as soon as you hit your 2 years or whatever that you're going to have a Spanish passport in hand. It's still going to take some time. Another challenge is just cultural adjustment. It's important to integrate into Spanish society, right? Including understanding and respecting cultural norms. And then another challenge is taxes. So this is a big thing. Where to become a Spanish citizen, you're going to have to spend the majority of the year there, right? Via naturalization, you're going to have to spend the majority of the year there, which will, by definition, make you a tax resident of Spain. Now, there are some solutions, including the Beckham Law, or maybe going to areas of Spain that are a little bit tax incentivized, like, say, the Canary Islands. We have different strategies for you. So if you book a call with MyLatinLife, there'll be a link in the description to do so. We can talk about how to get Spanish citizenship in a way that's the most tax efficient as possible. And by the way, there are some strategies that we're not going to divulge in this video. So you'll have to really become our client to get the secret sauce on that. Moving on, let's talk about some tips for success. So number 1, start early. Begin gathering your documents and preparing for exams as soon as you qualify. Seriously, because every single step is going to have delays. So there's going to be periods of time where you're waiting on the government, and there's going to be periods of time where the government's waiting on you. So make sure that you're not the blocker, that you submit everything as quickly as possible, and that you're basically just waiting on the government to process. Another tip is start learning the language now. Invest in improving your Spanish skills to pass the DELE exam. And that'll enhance your integration. If you have to do an interview, the interview will probably be in Spanish, and you'll want to be successful there. You also have to pass the exam. The exam's not that hard, but still, Spanish language skills are only going to help your application overall, especially if you have to do an in-person interview. So start studying now. There's also another link in the description of this video to Language Blend, which is the program that we recommend for one-on-one Spanish lessons. Another tip is to stay informed. So keep up to date with the process and updates or rule changes, law changes by checking the Ministry of Justice's website, or if you're working with a legal expert, your lawyer should be providing you updates as well. And just to give you an example, the non-lucrative visa recently made some changes to the requirements there, and so we've updated all of our clients about those updates regarding the non-lucrative visa. So a good lawyer should be updating you on these things because it's constantly changing on the ground. And another tip here is consult a professional. Consider hiring an immigration lawyer to navigate the complexities of the application. It's really not going to cost that much money, not nearly as much money as you think. You're looking at, almost always like less than $5,000, sometimes even less than like $3,000. So you might as well just use a lawyer and, not have this taking up so much brain space for you so that you can free up your time to focus on your business and making more money, and also eliminate the guesswork and also get your application process faster and just overall have a higher probability of success. Some closing thoughts here. Becoming a Spanish citizen by naturalization is a rewarding journey. It's epic. It's going to offer incredible opportunities for you, from reconnecting with your roots to unlocking the freedom of European citizenship to having a citizenship that you can pass on to your kids and grandkids. It's a life-changing process. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content on global mobility and citizenship tips. And again, link in the description if you want to become our client and get moving on this thing. Also, share your experiences or questions in the comments. We'd love to hear your story. Until next time, stay inspired and keep exploring. Catch you in the next video.